This video is over lesson 68, Algebraic Addition, and is for my 7th grade math class. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a little review here of the addition we've learned for adding positives and negatives. However, when we talk about algebraic addition, this is going to be teaching us to more generally understand how to not just add, but also subtract with positives and negatives. So here we go. Remember that a negative sign basically means opposite. So whereas positive numbers go to the right, negative numbers go the opposite way, left. So if we consider this, we've done things like this now for a while. So positive 7 would tell me to start here at 0 and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, trouble being right-handed and moving to the right. There we go. 7 to the right. So I'm going to put another tick mark right there. That's where I stopped. Then my next number is going to start where the last one ended. And so a negative 3 tells me to go 3 to the left. So if I go 1, 2, 3 spaces to the left, so this is my 7, this is my negative 3. And so come down here, my answer must be 4. We can also model subtraction. Subtraction can be modeled on number line 2. Notice that the effect of subtraction on the number 3's arrow. So again, positive 7 is going to send me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Stop at the right spot. Label my arrow. 7 to the right. But now subtraction actually turns out is going to have the same effect as a negative would. So if this was a plus 3, we would keep going to the right. But a subtraction sign is actually going to send things the opposite way. And so my minus 3 is going to have the same effect as my negative 3 and still produce the answer of 4. So what we've discovered here is that subtracting a number, so like subtracting 3, is the same as, well, adding negative 3. So the subtraction can change to addition if the 3 turns into, and if you just said negative, no, turns into its opposite. So since this was positive, this became negative. So subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a super important idea, so what I'd like you to do is please grab your yellow highlighter, and we're going to make a nice clear box around this statement. Really see that yellow there. Now, I really, really want to emphasize that this is important. So I want you to actually grab another color and put some emphasis in here. Let's really make sure that we know going forward that this is important. I'm even going to go so far as to add in a third color. So don't go too crazy, but give it some color. Make sure that that stands out. This is a phrase that I actually would like you to memorize. Okay, subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite. So it's the number that we are subtracting that will become its opposite. So with that being said, let's go ahead and flip the paper over to page 2. So changing subtraction to addition. As we get closer to algebra, we begin to think of everything in terms of addition. Whenever subtracting signed numbers, so signed number just means they have positive or negative signs, it is wise to convert the problem to addition. Using the phrase we learned on the front of this paper, when converting subtraction into addition, we will, well, first of all, copy the first number as it is. So you'll notice that our statement from the front didn't say anything about the number we are subtracting from. So since the statement didn't say anything about that, that number we're subtracting from, that first number, stays as it is. Then we're going to write a plus sign where the minus sign was. So instead of a minus sign, we'll now have a plus sign. That's the whole point, subtraction to addition. But math is a big balancing act. Whenever you change one thing, you've got to change a second thing to balance it out. So the balance here is we will write the opposite of the second number. So changing the minus to a plus is balanced out by doing the opposite of the second number. So if you are feeling pretty good about this, I would recommend actually pausing the video and just giving these four here a shot. See if you can follow those rules, but you're going to want to make sure that you pay very close attention when you press play again, that you got them correct. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So subtracting a number is the same as same as adding its opposite. So nothing was said about the 9. The first number gets copied. Minus a number, subtracting a number, is the same as plus, so that becomes a plus, and then its opposite. So the opposite of a positive 5 is a negative 5. Next problem down here. So subtracting a number is the same as plus its opposite. We're not talking about the first number, so first number stays the same. Then plus its opposite. Opposite of a negative 5 is a positive 5. So 9 minus negative 5 actually is just 9 plus 5, just plain old 9 plus 5. Negative 9 minus 5, the first number doesn't change, but then it's plus. The opposite of a positive 5 is a negative 5. Down here, negative 9 minus negative 5. We're not talking about the first number, so it stays the same, but then plus its opposite. So opposite of negative 5 is a positive 5. Over here, this will be 2, and then plus the opposite of positive 6 is negative 6. 2 plus the opposite of negative 6 is a positive 6. Here, negative 2 plus the opposite of positive 6 is a negative 6. And then negative 2 minus negative 6 will be a negative 2 plus, and then the opposite of a negative 6 is a positive 6. So again, to emphasize the pattern here, you've got to see it. The first number, 9, 9, negative 9, negative 9, just gets copied. 2, 2, negative 2, negative 2, just gets copied. It is the second number then that will become its opposite. Now that we have addition, we need to remember how to add. So once the subtraction has been converted to addition, follow the rules we learned in lesson 64 for adding positive and negative numbers. And I've given you a quick summary of those right here. So if the numbers have the same sign, so remember like on the front page when we were talking about the number line, if they have the same sign, that means those arrows are going the same direction. So if those arrows are going the same direction, they have the same sign, they're both positive or they're both negative, then we will truly add and keep the sign. However, if the numbers are different, have different signs, so one's going to the right, one's going to the left, we're actually going to end up subtracting their values. And then whichever arrow would be longer, the larger number, we're going to keep its sign. So if the bigger one's positive, the answer will be positive. If the bigger one's negative, the answer will be negative. So here we go. We're going to put it all together now. So up top, we already filled out how to do these, so we're just going to copy from above. So this one became 9 plus negative 5. Now to put these together, they have opposite signs, so we're going to subtract. 9 minus 5 is 4. And the bigger number is positive, so that as well is a positive 4. Up top there, we'd already figured out that 9 minus negative 5 is really 9 plus 5. Well, we know that. That's easy. 9 plus 5 is 14. We've known that for a while. Down here, a negative 9 minus 5 would be a negative 9 plus a negative 5. So since these have the same signs, they're both going to the left, we're going to add them together, so it'll be a 14, but since they're going to the left, it'll be a negative 14. And then last one here, a negative 9 plus a positive 5. Again, they have opposite signs. So since they have opposite signs, we're going to subtract them. We're going to get 4. But since the bigger number is negative, this will be negative as well. So go ahead and give these a shot on your own. Pause the video. All right, let's take a look at them. So just copying from above, 2 minus 6 was 2 plus a negative 6. And since they're opposite signs, we're going to subtract and get a 4. But then since the negative is bigger, it'll be a negative 4. Down here, this will be 2 plus 6. So positive 2 plus positive 6, we've known that for ages. That's 8. Down here, I have a negative 2 plus a negative 6. So they are both going in the same direction. They have the same sign. So we're going to add them up to get 8. But since they're both headed to the left, it'll be a total of 8 to the left, negative 8. And finally, a negative 2 plus a positive 6 is what this will turn into. And so negative 2 plus positive 6, since they have different signs, that's negative, that's positive, we are going to subtract, so 6 minus 2 is 4. But then the positive is bigger, and so that will be positive as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep moving here. So we have some subtraction problems now. We're going to change each of these into addition first and then solve them. So I'd like you to challenge yourself a little bit and give these a shot. I'd like you to just go down to here, down to 17 plus minus, or excuse me, positive 17 minus positive 13. That's as far as I'd like you to go. Just change the subtraction to addition for now, and then we'll go back in and fill in the answers afterwards. So pause the video and do those. All right, let's see how you did. A positive 4 minus a positive 9 will become a positive 4 plus a negative 9. Remember, it's the second one becomes the opposite. The first one stays the same. Now, I don't really need the positive sign there, so I decided to drop it. Down here, a negative 5 minus a negative 6 will still be a negative 5, but then it'll be a plus the opposite, so plus positive 6. Down here, it'll still be a 10 in front, then plus the opposite, so plus a positive 12. Negative 14 is still my first number, but then plus the opposite would be a negative 23. First number stays the same, but then it's plus the opposite would be a positive 6. And then last one, 17 minus 13 is still going to be a 17, but now plus the opposite would be a negative 13. Now let's go back and fill in the answers. So if you're feeling pretty good about that, I suggest you pause the video again and go ahead and give those a shot. All right, here we go. Different signs, we subtract and get 5. The big guy wins, and it's a negative. Different signs, we subtract and get 1. The big guy's positive, so positive 1. 10 plus 12, 22. We know that. Both negative, so we're going to add these together. So 14 plus 23 would be 37. But since they're both negative, we'll keep the negative. 9 plus 6 we've known for a while is 15. That's nice and easy. 17 plus a negative 23, since opposite signs we're going to subtract, we get 4. Big guy's positive, positive 4. All right, we're going to continue down this column. So coming down here, we're going to do like we did last time. Go ahead and pause the video and just change it to addition, and then we'll go back and figure out the answers. Here we go. A negative 7, and then it'll be plus the opposite, so plus a negative 4. Negative 8 still is negative 8, then plus the opposite, so there'll be a positive 7. Down here, we're going to have a 2, and then plus the opposite, so negative 2. I'm going to start with my negative 11, and then plus, and then the opposite, so a positive 11. Positive 9 minus negative 9, so still going to have a 9 out front, but then plus the opposite. And finally, a negative 17 is still itself plus the opposite. Now go ahead and figure out the answers. Give the video a pause. All right, here we go. A negative 7 plus a negative 4. Same sign, so they're going to work together. We're going to add them up. Negative 11. Different signs, we subtract. We get 1, but the big I is a negative. Different signs, we subtract. 2 minus 2 is 0, which does not have a sign. It's just 0. Different signs, again, we subtract. 11 minus 11, again, gives me another 0. Down here, 9 plus 9, well, we know that one, 18. Negative 17 plus negative 17, they're working together, going the same way. So add them up, 34, and they're headed in the negative direction. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This next column we're going to try to get through a bit more quickly, so I'm just going to go ahead and start working them out. I recommend, if you're feeling up to it, that you pause. You can work on the whole column, or you can decide how many you want to do at a time and pause and unpause the video as you go. So here we go. I'm going to go all the way through the problems, though. So 14 minus negative 19 will still be a 14, but then it'll be plus the opposite, so plus a positive 19. 14 plus 19 is pretty easy. It's just positive 33. A negative 1 then plus the opposite will be a negative 18. These are working together, so in the negative direction, so negative 19. A negative 36 plus the opposite, well, that'll be a positive 24. They're working against each other, so we'll subtract and get 12. Big guy's negative, negative 12. These two, I'm going to have 25 plus the opposite, negative 35. They're working against each other, so we're going to subtract and get 10. But the big guy's a negative, so it's a negative 10. I still have a negative 40, but then plus the opposite. Opposite would be a negative 90. So they are working together. They're both negative, so we're going to add those up and get 130. But since they were headed in the negative direction, it's a negative 130. Here I've got a 20 still, but now plus the opposite. Opposite would be a negative 30. So since they're working against each other, one's positive, one's negative, we're going to subtract and get 10. But the big guy's negative, so it'll be a negative 10. Now here I have a 30, and then plus the opposite, well, that'd be a 50. Well, 30 plus 50, that's easy. 80. I still have a negative 10, but then plus the opposite, so 40. One's positive, one's negative, so they're going to subtract. That'll be a 30. And since the big guy's positive, it's positive. $16, and then plus the opposite. The opposite would be a negative 7. So one's positive, one's negative. We're going to subtract. 16 minus 7 is 9. And since the big guy is positive, it's positive. A negative 5 plus the opposite. Opposite would be a positive 28. So since one's positive, one's negative, we're going to subtract. 28 minus 5 would be a 23. And since the big guy was positive, this is positive. And here I have a positive 3, and then plus the opposite, so 8. Oh, that's easy. 8 plus 3 is 11. And last one, still going to have a negative 8, but then plus the opposite. So negative 8 and negative 3 are both going to the left. So they're going to work together, so add those up, it'll be 11, but then they're going to the left, so it'd be a negative 11. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our lesson. This is an important concept, so if you are feeling like you're kind of struggling with this, please make sure that you contact me or that you participate in one of our Zoom meetings so that way we can discuss this and go over it. Make sure you've got this skill down solid. But otherwise, that's it.